Chosen one. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the person staring back at you? When did your face start telling a story your mouth hasn't spoken yet? And why? Why does everyone keep asking if you've done something different when all you've done is survive? Stop. Right there. Before you scroll past this moment thinking, this isn't for me. Let me tell you something that's going to shake you. Your face is changing. And it's not in your head. I'm talking to the 70-year-old grandmother who caught her reflection in the pharmacy window last Tuesday and thought, that can't be me. I'm talking to the man who buried his wife 2 years ago, and somehow his eyes look clearer now than they did at 50. I'm talking to every person watching this who has lived through hell, but woke up yesterday looking like they've been touched by something holy. You've got lines on your face from 70 years of worry. You've got eyes that have witnessed both war and miracles. You've got a countenance that doesn't match what you've been through. And people notice. They stare a little longer. They ask questions they can't quite form. Because your face is carrying something the natural world can't explain. Here's what I need you to hear. You're not crazy. It's not just aging. It's not you imagining things. Heaven has been working on your face long before you noticed. God doesn't just heal your heart and leave your countenance untouched. When He starts lifting the weight off your spirit, your face shifts with it. Like a window that's been fogged for decades, suddenly clearing up, same glass, different atmosphere. That's what's happening to you right now. Before we go deeper, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and let the Holy Spirit lead your heart. Now listen carefully. If you've felt this, if you've looked in the mirror lately and thought, something's different and I can't explain it, type, that's me in the comments right now. I need to know I'm talking to the right person, because in a few minutes, I'm going to show you the one facial change that makes demons nervous and angels lean in. And toward the end, we're going to speak a prophetic blessing over your face that some of you have waited your entire life to hear. The mirror has been trying to tell you a story from heaven. It's not in your head. It's in your eyes, it's in your breath, it's in the softness returning to places that used to be clenched. Heaven has been touching your face, and tonight, you're finally going to understand why. How many funerals has your face attended that your heart still hasn't recovered from? How many betrayals have you smiled through while your spirit was bleeding? And when was the last time you looked in the mirror and saw strength instead of just exhaustion? Let me be real with you for a moment. Your face has carried things that would have broken people half your age. I'm not talking about wrinkles, I'm talking about weight. The kind of weight that sits behind your eyes when you're staring at an empty chair at the dinner table where your husband used to sit. The kind that settles in your jaw when your own children stopped calling. The kind that lives in the tightness around your mouth from all the words you swallowed to keep the peace. Your face has been to war, beloved. And nobody gave you a medal for it. Think about what that face of yours has witnessed. You've stood at gravesides watching caskets lower into ground that shouldn't have opened yet. You've sat in hospital waiting rooms at 2 in the morning, praying prayers you didn't even know you had left in you. You've opened bills you couldn't pay, stared at bank statements that made your chest tight, and wondered if God was still keeping His promises, or if you somehow got left off the list. Your face has carried grief that has no language. The kind of sorrow that doesn't announce itself, it just sits there, day after day, like a house guest who never leaves. You've smiled at church while your heart was in pieces. You've said, I'm fine, so many times your face learned to lie before your mouth did. And betrayal? Oh, chosen one. Let's talk about that. Because some of you have been hurt by the very people who were supposed to protect you. Family that turned their backs, friends who disappeared when life got hard, church people who judged you when you needed grace. That kind of betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it rewires your face. It teaches your eyes to scan for danger. It trains your expression to stay guarded. It turns your natural softness into strategic distance. David knew this feeling. He wrote in Psalm 42:5, "Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why so disturbed within me? Your face has had downcast days, beloved. Days when getting out of bed felt like climbing a mountain. Days when looking in the mirror felt like staring at a stranger who'd lived a life you didn't sign up for. Maybe you've carried fear that nobody sees but God. Fear that wakes you up at 3 a.m. with your heart pounding. Fear about your health, about your money running out before your life does, about becoming a burden to your children. That kind of fear doesn't just live in your mind. It carves itself into the muscles around your eyes, into the set of your mouth, into the way you hold your face when you think nobody's watching. Some mornings you look in the mirror and you don't even recognize yourself. You see tired, you see old, you see used up. You think, this is just what 70 looks like. This is just what loss does. This is just aging. But God sees something completely different. When the Lord looks at your face, He doesn't see damage. He sees documentation. Every line is a chapter. Every wrinkle is a verse in the poem of your survival. Your face isn't falling apart. Your face has been holding together a life that should have shattered a long time ago. You want to know what your face has really been carrying all these years? It's been carrying the weight of still believing when belief made no sense. It's been carrying the choice to get up every morning when giving up would have been easier. It's been carrying a quiet kind of faith that doesn't get preached about on Sunday, but keeps the world turning Monday through Saturday. Your face has been a battlefield, a place where hope and despair fought for territory, a place where faith and doubt wrestled in the dark, a place where the enemy tried his best to write defeat across your countenance and make it permanent. But here's what hell didn't count on. Here's what the accuser of your soul never saw coming. God is turning your battlefield into a billboard of His goodness, a testimony in flesh that says, look what happens when someone refuses to quit on God, even when God seemed quiet. Your face is about to tell a story that your mouth hasn't caught up to yet. A story about survival that became strength, about pain that became purpose, about years that weren't wasted, they were warfare. And you won. You're still here, still breathing, still believing, still standing in front of that mirror, wondering what's different. What's different is this: God is done letting your face carry what He's already carried for you. The weight is shifting, the atmosphere is changing. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you from the Bible exactly how God literally transforms faces when He's about to transform a life. Because, chosen one, your face isn't just changing randomly. It's changing prophetically. And what's written on your countenance right now is about to become the prologue to the greatest chapter you've ever lived. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you next will explain why people can't stop staring at you lately. You want to know if what you're seeing in your reflection is real? Let me show you something that's been written in blood and glory for thousands of years. God has always spoken through faces. This isn't New Age mysticism. This isn't positive vibes wrapped in spiritual language. This is Bible. This is the glory of God doing what He's always done. When He touches a life, He changes the countenance first. Look at Moses, 80 years old, coming down from Mount Sinai after 40 days in the presence of the Almighty. Exodus 34-29 tells us something that should shake you to your core. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant law in his hands, he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. Did you catch that? He didn't know. Moses didn't feel different. He didn't try to glow. He just spent time with God, and his face became so radiant that the Israelites were terrified to come near him. They couldn't look at him. Why? Because his face had become a screen where heaven projected God's glory. That's what's happening to you right now. You didn't ask for it. You didn't manufacture it. You just kept showing up in prayer, kept trusting through the valleys, kept believing when everything screamed at you to quit. And now your face is testifying to something your mouth hasn't even caught up to yet. But let me take you deeper, because this isn't just about one man on one mountain. Think about Hannah, broken, barren, mocked by her husband's other wife year after year. She went to the temple so desperate, so shattered, that when she prayed, the priest thought she was drunk. 1 Samuel 1:10 says, "In her deep anguish, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterly." But watch what happens next. After she poured out her soul to God, after she surrendered the one thing she wanted most, verse 18 records this stunning shift. Then she went her way and ate something, and her face was no longer downcast. Her circumstances hadn't changed yet. She wasn't pregnant yet. Her enemy was still mocking her. But her face changed the moment she released the burden to God. The moment she stopped carrying what was never hers to carry, her countenance shifted. Dear chosen one, that's you. You've been carrying grief, disappointment, betrayal, loss for so long that your face learned to wear it like a permanent mask. But somewhere between last year and this morning, you finally let go. You finally stopped rehearsing the pain. You finally gave God permission to lift what you couldn't fix. And your face stopped lying for you. Psalm 34:5 declares it plainly. Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. Never covered with shame. Not sometimes. Not when everything's perfect. Never. Because when you fix your gaze on God instead of on your circumstances, radiance isn't optional. It's inevitable. It's the natural result of prolonged exposure to divine light. You've been looking to him in the midnight hours when nobody was watching. You've been looking to him when the doctors gave you bad news. You've been looking to him when your children broke your heart and your bank account broke your spirit. And now, whether you realize it or not, that radiance is beginning to show. But let me give you the ultimate example, because this is where it gets absolutely undeniable. Luke 9:28-9 records the moment when Jesus took Peter, James, and John up a mountain to pray. And listen to what happened. As he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became as bright as a flash of lightning. His face changed while he was praying. Not after the prayer was answered, not when the miracle manifested, during the prayer itself. In the presence of the Father, Jesus' human face could no longer contain the glory of who he really was. That's the prophetic picture of what's happening to you right now. You are not just aging. You are not just holding up well for your age. You are being transfigured, not into someone else, but into the you that God has always seen. The you that's been hidden under years of stress, shame, and survival mode. Your face is the screen where heaven wants to project God's glory. And if your countenance is shifting, if people are staring longer, if something in your reflection doesn't match the hell you've walked through, that's not vanity. That's validation. That's God putting his signature on the healing he's been doing in secret. So let me ask you directly, have you been feeling it? That sense that your face is preaching before you even open your mouth? That when you walk into a room, something shifts in the atmosphere and you can't explain why? In just a moment, I'm going to give you 3 quiet signs that your face is already carrying a message from heaven. 3 changes that prove you're not imagining this transformation. And I need you to pay close attention, because one of those signs is so subtle that most people miss it completely, but demons recognize it instantly. But first, you need to understand this. If your face is changing, it's not random, it's not coincidence. It may be the sign that heaven has quietly stepped onto the scene of your life. And what comes next will determine whether you steward this moment or waste it. Are you ready to see what God is writing on your countenance? Now listen to me, dear one. I'm about to show you 3 signs that are already happening to your face right now. And when I describe them, you're going to feel something click in your chest, because you've been seeing these changes but didn't know what to call them. Sign number 1. Your eyes. Look at your eyes. Not just a glance, really, look. Something's happened there that you can't fake, can't force, can't manufacture with any cream or procedure on earth. Your eyes look softer. but not weak. They look stronger, but not hard. You've cried more tears in the last 5 years than most people cry in a lifetime. You've buried people you loved. You've watched your body betray you. You've stared at bank statements that made your stomach drop. But somehow, your eyes aren't carrying that weight anymore. People have been telling you, haven't they? There's a calm in your eyes I can't explain. They stare a little longer when you speak. They lean in when you pray. Because your eyes have become something they weren't before. They've become a lamp. Jesus said it in Matthew 6:22. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. Your eyes aren't just windows anymore, chosen one. They're lighthouses. They're beacons in a dark harbor. People drowning in their own storms see your gaze and think, that person knows something I don't. That's not confidence. That's not therapy. That's God rewriting what your eyes carry. You've looked at him so long that your eyes started reflecting him back, and the world can't help but notice. Sign number 2, your resting face. Now I want you to think about your face when you're alone, when nobody's watching. When you're sitting in your kitchen at 6 a.m. with your coffee, staring at nothing in particular, what does your face do? 5 years ago, your jaw was clenched by default. Your forehead was tight. Your mouth was pressed into that line that said, I'm ready for the next bad thing. You were living in survival mode, and your face knew it. Even in rest, you weren't resting. But something shifted. Heaven adjusted your default setting. You're not frowning by default anymore. The tension in your jaw has loosened. You're not grinding your teeth at night the way you used to. Your face isn't preparing for war every single second of the day, because your spirit finally learned something your mind took years to accept. God's got this. That's not denial. That's not pretending everything's fine. That's what happens when your soul stops treating every moment like a threat. Your nervous system finally exhaled. And when your nervous system exhales, your face stops bracing for impact. Look at yourself when you think nobody's watching. That peace sitting on your face, that's not natural, that's supernatural. That's evidence that heaven has been doing surgery on your spirit while you slept. Sign number 3, the smile that comes quicker. Here's the one that's going to wreck you. You smile easier now, even after bad news, even after disappointment, even after the kind of day that used to steal your joy for a week. You know what I'm talking about. Pain used to sit on your face all day like a fog that wouldn't lift. One phone call could ruin your whole expression. One memory could wipe the light right off your countenance. But now peace interrupts it. You get bad news and 5 minutes later, you're smiling at your grandkid's joke. You read something that would have destroyed you last year, and somehow your face bounces back. Not because you're ignoring the pain, because the pain doesn't own your face anymore. Your smile has become a quiet rebellion against everything that tried to break you. It's a declaration, it's a weapon, it's you telling hell, you don't get to write the story on my face anymore. Now here's what I need you to understand. Some folks around you are going to say, you're just imagining it. You're reading into things. It's all in your head. No, they don't see the spiritual surgery heaven has been performing. They don't have the eyes to recognize what God does in secret. But you do. You feel it. You see it. You know something's different. Your face is testifying. Your face is preaching. Your face is prophetic. It's telling a story that your mouth hasn't caught up to yet. It's announcing to the spiritual realm that you're not the same person you were 3 years ago. And here's the line I need you to let sink deep into your bones. It's not in your head, it's on his heart, and he's been writing it right across your face. If one of these 3 signs is you, if your eyes have softened, if your resting face has peace, if your smile comes quicker, I want you to write in the comments right now, my face is changing by God's hand. Don't think about it, just declare it. Because your declaration activates what heaven has already started. But here's what you need to know next. These 3 signs, they're just the surface. Because what God is doing to your face isn't random, it's strategic. And what I'm about to show you will explain why your countenance is connected to your calling in ways you never imagined. You want to know why this has been so hard. You want to know why you can't just age peacefully like everybody else. Let me tell you something that's going to crack this thing wide open. The enemy of your soul has been waging war on your face for decades. And I'm not talking about wrinkles or gray hair. I'm talking about something far more dangerous. He's been fighting to keep your countenance in chains. Because here's what hell knows that you're just now beginning to remember. Your face carries authority. Think about it. When you walk into a room, people feel something before you even open your mouth. Some people open up to you instantly, telling you their deepest secrets at the grocery store checkout line. Others get irritated by your presence and they can't explain why. That's not random. That's not personality. That's spiritual recognition. Your peaceful face calms chaos. Your radiant countenance disarms conflict. Your settled expression draws people to Christ without you preaching a single sermon. And the enemy? He hates that. He despises it. Because your face, yes, your 70-year-old, 80-year-old, lined and weathered face carries the testimony of God's faithfulness, and that testimony threatens every lie hell is trying to sell. Listen to me carefully. Proverbs 15:13 says, "A happy heart makes the face cheerful, but heartache crushes the spirit." The devil knows this verse better than most Christians do. He knows that if he can keep your heart crushed, your face will broadcast defeat. And a defeated face doesn't draw anyone to Jesus. So how does he attack? First, through shame. He replays your past mistakes on a loop in your mind. That divorce from 30 years ago, that parenting failure from 40 years back, that sin you confessed and God forgave but you never could. Every time you look in the mirror, shame whispers, "This face has no right to shine. This face is marked by failure." And slowly, over decades, your expression learns to apologize for existing. Second, through comparison. You're scrolling through Facebook, and there's your high school friend same age as you, but somehow she looks 20 years younger. There's your daughter posting filtered selfies that make her glow like an angel. And you look down at your own reflection and think, "I'm invisible now. I don't matter anymore." The enemy loves that lie. He feeds it to you daily. Third, through harsh words. Maybe it was your husband who stopped telling you you're beautiful. Maybe it was that church member who said you looked tired every single Sunday until you believed something was wrong with you. Maybe it was your own children treating you like you're a burden instead of a blessing. Words have power. Proverbs 18:21 tells us, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." And some of you have been dying slowly because of what was spoken over your appearance. But here's where it gets personal for you, dear chosen one. The enemy whispers a specific lie to older believers. You're invisible now. You're too old to matter. Your face doesn't carry influence anymore. But heaven is saying something completely different. Heaven is saying, "I've been waiting until your face told the whole story. I've been waiting until your eyes carried both suffering and victory. I've been waiting until your countenance became a living testimony that I am faithful." Your face is a spiritual billboard, and hell has been trying to vandalize it. That's why the attacks have been so relentless. That's why you felt such pressure to hide, to shrink, to disappear. Because the devil doesn't just want your money or your health. He wants your expression. Because your expression carries God's message to a generation that's drowning in despair. When a young person sees your peaceful face and asks, "How are you so calm?" that's evangelism. When a stranger feels safe enough to cry in front of you because something about your countenance says, "You're not alone," that's ministry. When your grandchildren look at you and see strength wrapped in softness, that's discipleship. Your face is a weapon, chosen one. And the enemy has been trying to disarm you. 2 Corinthians 3:18 declares, "And we all, who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into his image with ever-increasing glory." Did you catch that? Unveiled faces. God wants your face uncovered, unashamed, radiating his glory. But the enemy wants you veiled, hidden behind shame, comparison, and words that were never meant to define you. That's why it's been so hard. That's why the battle over your appearance has felt so intense, because this isn't about vanity. This is about assignment. This is about influence. This is about a face that has been through fire and still reflects the light. Don't you dare click away now. In just a few minutes, we're going to pray over your face, forehead, eyes, cheeks, smile, and break every word curse that has ever been spoken over your appearance. We're going to take back what the enemy stole and declare what heaven always intended. But first, you need to understand exactly what God has been doing while you weren't looking. Because the change in your face, it's not random, it's strategic. And what's coming next is going to show you why heaven needed you to look different now than you did 20 years ago. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What's happening to your face right now isn't random. It's not age. It's not good genes. It's not even rest. God is changing your face because He is changing your assignment. You heard me right. Your assignment at 70, at 80, at 92 years old. While the world is handing you senior citizen discounts and telling you to slow down, heaven is saying, now, this is when I use you. But why now? Why is God touching your countenance in this season when society says your best years are behind you? Let me give you 3 prophetic reasons that are going to shatter every lie you've believed about your age. First, you've survived the silent years. Do you know what silent years are? They're the years nobody saw. The years you cried in your car before walking into work. The years you prayed over children who wouldn't speak to you. The years you carried financial terror in your chest like a stone. The years you wondered if God had forgotten your address. But God didn't forget. He was watching every single moment. Psalm 56:8 says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you thought you were invisible. God recorded it all. And now, right now, He's putting graduation on your face. Not a diploma from a university. Graduation from the school of suffering. Graduation from the wilderness. Graduation from the place where you learned to trust God when you couldn't see His hand. That's why your face looks different. It's carrying the proof that you didn't quit. You didn't give up. You didn't let bitterness turn you into something hard and cold. You stayed soft. You stayed faithful. You stayed believing. And now God is marking your face with something the world calls glow, but heaven calls evidence. Second, you're being sent as a living testimony. Here's what's about to happen, and I need you to catch this. People are going to start trusting your God, not because of your words first, but because of the peace sitting on your face. Think about that. Your face is about to become a sermon. Your granddaughter is watching you. She's seen you go through hell. She knows what you lost. She knows what you survived. And now she's seeing something on your face that she can't explain. She's not hearing you preach at her. She's seeing you carry something she wants. That neighbor who always seemed distant, they're going to start asking you questions. Not because you knocked on their door with a Bible, because there's something on your countenance that looks like hope in human form. Even the nurse who checks your blood pressure at the clinic next Tuesday, she's going to pause. She's going to look at you a second longer than usual, because your face is carrying the kind of peace that a paycheck can't buy. 2 Corinthians 3:2 puts it this way: "You are a letter from Christ, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God." You're not just reading the message anymore. You are the message. Your face is the billboard. And heaven just put up a sign that says, God is still real, God is still good, and God still keeps His people. Third, generational impact. But it goes deeper than your lifetime. What's happening to your face right now is setting something in motion for generations you'll never meet. Your great-grandchildren are going to hear stories about you. They're going to see old photos, and something about the way you looked in your final years is going to plant a seed. They're going to remember that Grandma didn't look defeated, that Grandpa's eyes were clear even when his body was failing. This is what Proverbs 17:6 means when it says, "Gray hair is a crown of glory, it is gained in a righteous life. Not just any grey hair, righteous grey hair. Hair that's been earned through faithfulness, a face that's been marked by mercy. You think you're just getting older. God says you're becoming a patriarch, a matriarch, an elder in the truest sense of the word. Now let me speak directly to the lie that's been sitting in your chest for too long. You are not in the leftover years, you're in the overflow years. God waited until now, until this exact season, to put a certain glory on your face. Because now you're ready to carry it without pride. Now you've been humbled enough to handle anointing. Now you've lived long enough to know that it's not about you. Moses was 80 when God called him. Abraham was 100 when Isaac was born. Anna was 84 when she prophesied over baby Jesus in the temple. You think God's done with you, He's just getting started. And here's the climax I need you to feel in your bones right now. You thought your face was proof that life has passed you by. But heaven says your face is proof that hell couldn't stop you. Every line is a battle scar. Every wrinkle is a testimony. Every grey hair is a trophy. You didn't just survive, you overcame. And now your face is carrying the evidence that God keeps His word. You're not a leftover, dear one. You're a slow-cooked miracle. Your face is proof that mercy has mileage. And if you're listening right now, and you don't even know if you belong to Jesus yet, keep listening. Because at the end of this message, I'm going to lead you into the kind of surrender that will change not just your face, but your eternity. But first, you need to understand something that's been happening in the invisible realm while you've been staring at that mirror. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. You can't just receive this revelation and do nothing with it. You can't just nod your head and say, "That's nice," and walk away. Because here's what most people don't understand about divine transformation. It requires your participation. God is working on your face, yes. But you've got to stop undoing what He's building. How many mornings have you stood in front of that bathroom mirror and cursed yourself? How many times have you looked at your reflection and whispered things you'd never say to another human being? I look terrible. I look old. I look done. Every single word is a seed, and you've been planting poison in the same soil where God is trying to grow glory. That stops today. Because your mirror isn't just glass. Your mirror is about to become your prayer closet. Your bathroom sink, that's your altar now. And every morning when you stand there, you're going to make a choice. Are you going to agree with heaven or with hell? Here's your first prophetic practice, and I need you to do this tomorrow morning before you do anything else. Stand in front of that mirror. I don't care if your hair's a mess. I don't care if you just rolled out of bed. Stand there and say these exact words. Lord, thank you that my face reflects your faithfulness more than my failures. Say it again, out loud. My face reflects your faithfulness more than my failures. Psalm 139 tells us we are fearfully and wonderfully made, not were, are, present tense, right now, at 73, at 85, at 62. Fearfully means with reverent awe. Wonderfully means distinctly set apart. God didn't make a mistake when He wired your DNA, and He's not abandoning the blueprint now. But here's where it gets deeper. Some of you have been carrying word curses for decades. Somebody told you that you were ugly when you were 12, and you've been believing it for 60 years. Somebody said you'd never amount to anything, and their voice still plays in your head every time you catch your reflection. A husband who said you'd let yourself go. A mother who said you weren't pretty like your sister. A stranger who made one cruel comment in 1978 that you've been repeating to yourself ever since. Tonight, we're breaking that. Right now, I want you to say this with me, and I want you to mean it. I cancel every word that said I was ugly, too old, not enough. Those words do not own my face, Jesus does. Say it again, louder this time. Those words do not own my face, Jesus does. Do you feel that? That's not emotion. That's authority. That's you taking back territory the enemy stole through lies. Because here's the truth, every time you repeat a lie about yourself, you're giving it permission to manifest. But every time you speak God's truth over your countenance, you're releasing heaven's blueprint. Now here's your third practice, and this one's going to change how you walk through the world. I want you to start treating your smile as a ministry tool, not a fake smile, not a performance, but the real peace that's starting to settle on your face. I want you to weaponize it for good. Every time you smile in a hospital hallway, you're planting peace in someone's panic. Every time you smile at the grocery store clerk who looks exhausted, you're reminding them that kindness still exists. Every time you smile in the retirement home when everyone around you looks like they've given up, you're prophesying hope into a room full of resignation. Your face is not just for you anymore. It's a billboard for heaven. And every person who sees that settled look, that clear gaze, that softness that doesn't match your story, they're seeing proof that God still transforms people. But you've got to feed this. You've got to water it. That brings me to your fourth practice, daily scripture over your countenance. Not just reading it, speaking it out loud over yourself. Psalm 34:5 says, "Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame." Radiant. That's not about makeup or surgery. That's about proximity to God. Numbers 6:24-6. "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace." You want your face to change? Ask God to shine his face on yours. Light reflects light. Isaiah 60:1. "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." You are not fading, chosen one. You are rising. And your face is the first place people see it. Now here's where you step into agreement. I'm going to say something, and I want you to say it back. Not in your head, out loud. Let the walls hear you. Let heaven hear you. My face is not a mistake. My face is a message. My face is a miracle. My face is changing, and it's not in my head, it's in God's hands. If you're still here, if you just spoke those words and felt something shift in your chest, I need you to write this in the comments right now. Amen. My face is a miracle. That's not just a comment. That's a public agreement with what heaven is doing. That's you telling every demonic assignment over your appearance that its time is up. Because what God is doing on your face isn't cosmetic, it's prophetic. And the question that will determine everything is this: will you cooperate with heaven's work, or will you keep cursing what God is blessing? Now listen to me carefully, because we're about to touch something you've been carrying for decades, something you've never told anyone, something that sits right there in the lines around your mouth, in the tension behind your eyes, in the way you turn your face away from cameras. Some of the marks on your face didn't come from time. They came from words. I'm talking about the words that landed on you when you were too young to know they were lies. When your mother looked at you across the kitchen table and said, "You're too much. You're always too much." When your father came home drunk and told you that you'd never amount to anything. When the kids at school circled around you in the cafeteria and called you names that are still carved into your memory 50 years later. I'm talking about the man who promised to love you forever, but told you 5 years into the marriage, you've let yourself go. Those 4 words, 4 little words that sat on your face like stones. You started avoiding mirrors after that, didn't you? You stopped looking at yourself directly. You'd glance, check, make sure you were presentable, but you stopped seeing yourself as beautiful. I'm talking about the doctor who looked at you over his clipboard when you were 72 years old and said, "Well, at your age, what do you expect?" Like your pain didn't matter anymore. Like your body was just a number on a chart. Like you'd crossed some invisible line where you stopped being a person and became a statistic. Those words didn't just hit your ears, beloved. They sat on your face. You think I'm exaggerating? You think I'm being dramatic? Then why can you still hear them? Why do those sentences play in your head when you're trying to fall asleep at night? Why do you flinch when someone says something that sounds even remotely similar? Because words have weight. The Bible knew this 3,000 years before psychology caught up. Proverbs 18:21 tells us, Death and life are in the power of the tongue, not metaphorical death, real death. The death of dreams, the death of dignity, the death of the way you used to see yourself before someone convinced you that you weren't enough. James chapter 3 goes even deeper. It says the tongue is a fire that corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. That's not poetry, dear one. That's diagnosis. Because when someone speaks poison over you, it doesn't just hurt for a moment. It burns, it spreads. It changes the trajectory of your entire life. And some of you have been living with those burns for so long, you forgot they weren't supposed to be there. But here's what the enemy never wanted you to know. Just because those words landed doesn't mean they get to stay. I want you to do something with me right now. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Just do it. Lift your hand and gently touch your cheek or your forehead, wherever you feel the weight of those old words sitting heaviest. Now whisper this with me. Say it out loud, even if your voice shakes. Lord, every word that carved itself into my skin without your permission, I give it back to you now. Say it again. Mean it this time. Every word that carved itself into my skin without your permission, I give it back to you now. Those words don't own you. That mother who called you worthless, she was speaking from her own wound. That father who said you'd fail, he was drowning in his own failure. That spouse who made you feel invisible, they couldn't see themselves clearly, so how could they see you? And that voice in your own head that's been repeating those sentences for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, that's not your voice. That's the echo of someone else's unhealed pain trying to make a home in your face. But no human sentence gets the final say over your face. Only the one who formed it in the first place. God didn't create you and then hand the editing pen to every cruel person who came along. He didn't sculpt you in his image and then let some broken human being rewrite the story on your skin. Your face belongs to him. And right now, right this second, he's in the process of erasing every word curse that was never his to begin with. We are evicting word curses from your skin today. You're not carrying those insults into another decade. You're not wearing shame that somebody else put on you like it's your own clothing. You're not letting the memory of cruelty dictate what your countenance looks like when God is actively restoring it. If this is hard to hear but you know it's true, just write, Lord, heal me in the comments. Don't explain it. Don't justify it. That's your agreement with heaven. That's you saying, yes, I've been carrying words that weren't mine to carry, and I'm ready to let them go. Because what we're about to talk about next is going to blow your mind. Stay with me. We're about to discover how God uses your changing face to heal your whole family, even the ones who gave you those wounds in the first place. You know what breaks my heart? It's when I hear from chosen ones who tell me, my family doesn't listen to me anymore. They smile and nod, but I can see it in their eyes. They think I'm old news. They think my time is over. Listen to me carefully, beloved. Your family might not listen to your sermons, but they can't ignore your face. Let me paint you a picture that's probably happened in your house this week. You walk into the kitchen where your adult daughter is stress-eating crackers over the sink at 10 o'clock at night. She's been divorced 6 months. The kids are acting out. Her job is crushing her. And she looks up when you enter the room, expecting to see that same worried expression you've carried for 70 years. The one that says, I'm scared too. But something's different now. Your face is calm. Not fake calm, real calm. The kind that comes from actually trusting God instead of just saying, you trust God. And for a split second, she stops chewing. She stares at you a little longer than usual, and she whispers, Mom, you look different. You look peaceful. That's not a compliment, chosen one. That's a prophecy. Your granddaughter is 8 years old. She's been watching you her whole life, studying your face the way children do when they're trying to figure out if the world is safe. And last Sunday at dinner, she climbed into your lap and touched your cheek and said, Grandma, you look happy today. out of nowhere. You weren't even smiling. But she saw something on your countenance that her little spirit recognized as hope. Do you understand what just happened? God used your face to plant a seed in the next generation. Your son hasn't been to church in 15 years. He thinks faith is for people who can't handle reality. But 2 weeks ago, he showed up at your house unannounced and sat at your kitchen table for an hour. Didn't say much, just watched you move around the room. And before he left, he said something that shocked you. Dad's calmer now. I don't know what changed, but something's different. He doesn't know it yet, but he's watching God work. You see, Numbers 6:24-26 gives us the priestly blessing. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. When God's face shines on us, we begin to shine on others. Not with words, with presence, with countenance, with the peace that radiates from a soul that's finally stopped fighting God's will. Your family might not listen to your advice, but they're studying your face like it's a textbook on survival. And here's where it gets powerful. You used to walk into that hospital waiting room and carry worry with you like a cloud. Everyone could feel it. The air got heavier when you arrived. But now when you walk into that same room where your husband is recovering from surgery, the nurses notice. They linger a little longer. They ask you questions about your life because something about your presence makes them feel safe. You used to walk into family dinners where tension owned the room. Your daughter-in-law's sharp comments, your son's silence, your grandkids glued to screens to avoid the discomfort. And you'd sit there drowning in it, your face tight with stress, wondering why God gave you a family that can't get along. But something shifted. Last Thanksgiving, you walked into that same dining room, same people, same unresolved issues. But your face was different. And within 20 minutes, your daughter-in-law looked at you and said, "You're so calm." How are you so calm? That wasn't a casual observation. That was her soul crying out for what you carry. Listen to me, chosen one. You are the quiet weather system in your family. When you change, the climate changes. When your face stops broadcasting anxiety, the room stops holding its breath. When peace settles on your countenance, it gives everyone around you permission to exhale. Your face changes the climate in the room. But here's what most people don't understand about this assignment. God didn't transform your countenance so you could feel better about yourself. He transformed it so you could become a healing agent in your bloodline. Your peaceful face is medicine for generations of trauma. Your steady gaze is breaking cycles of fear that have owned your family tree for 100 years. That grandson who struggles with anxiety, he's watching your face, learning that it's possible to be okay even when life isn't okay. That daughter who can't forgive her ex-husband, she's watching your face, wondering how you learned to carry peace after everything you've been through. That caregiver who comes to your house 3 times a week, she's watching your face, and she's going home at night telling her own mother, "There's something different about Mrs. Johnson. I can't explain it, but I feel better after I'm with her." You didn't preach at any of them. You just showed up with a different face. This is why the enemy fought so hard to keep stress etched into your expression. This is why he worked overtime to make sure your countenance reflected every tragedy you've survived. Because he knew that if your face ever started reflecting the peace of God instead of the chaos of the world, you'd become a weapon in your own house. Your family might not come to church with you, but they can't escape the sanctuary in your eyes. And here's the climax of what I need you to understand tonight. You used to walk into the room and carry worry. Now, when you walk in, peace follows like a shadow. That's not a small thing. That's a supernatural thing. That's the kind of thing that makes hell nervous and heaven take notice. So right now, I want you to do something. Think of one person in your family who needs the peace on your face. Just one. Your daughter, your grandson, your sister, your neighbor who feels like family. Type their initials in the comments as a way of lifting them up before God. Don't overthink it, just let their name rise. Because God is about to use your face to speak to them in ways your words never could. But here's what's coming next that's going to blow your mind. It's not just your family who's noticing anymore. In the next part, I'm going to show you how even strangers, people who've never met you, people who pass you in the grocery store, people who sit next to you in the doctor's waiting room, how they're starting to notice that there's something supernatural on your face. And what they're seeing, it's terrifying the enemy and drawing the lost straight to the presence of God. You know what nobody told you about this face change? It doesn't stay private. Dear one, the moment heaven starts altering your countenance, the world starts responding differently. And I'm not talking about your family who sees you every day. I'm talking about strangers. People who have no business noticing you suddenly can't look away. Let me paint you a picture. You're standing in line at the supermarket, same store you've been going to for 20 years. Same cashier who's never said more than paper or plastic, but this time, she stops. Mid-scan, holds your gallon of milk in her hand and says something like, "You know what? You seem like someone I can talk to." And then she tells you about her daughter, about the divorce, about the grandkids she hasn't seen in 6 months. And you're standing there thinking, why is she telling me this? Because your face just became a sanctuary. Or maybe it happened in an Uber last week. Driver picks you up, says nothing for 3 blocks. Then out of nowhere starts talking about his father who just passed, about the regrets, about the questions he's been carrying alone. And when you get out of that car, he looks at you through the rearview mirror and says, "I don't know why I told you all that. But thank you. That wasn't random, chosen one. That was spiritual." See, what's happening to your face isn't just for you, it's for them. The cashier who's drowning, the driver who's grieving, the woman sitting next to you in that clinic waiting room who scoots her chair a little closer because something about you feels safe. Here's what the Bible says in 2 Corinthians 3:18. "And we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another." Your face is being unveiled. The mask of stress, the shield of survival mode, the guard you've worn for decades, it's coming off. And what's underneath? Glory. Not the showy kind. The kind that makes broken people feel like they can breathe again. People don't know they're sensing God on you. They just know you feel different. They can't explain why they trust you, why they opened up, why sitting next to you at the pharmacy felt like the first peace they've had all week. But you know it's not you, it's what's been done to you. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to preach a 3-point sermon. You don't have to hand out tracts or quote Romans 8:28 at the checkout line. Sometimes all you have to say is, "I'll be praying for you," and mean it. That's it. That's the whole ministry. Your face did half the talking before you even opened your mouth. Think about Moses coming down from Mount Sinai in Exodus 34. His face was so radiant from being in God's presence that people couldn't even look at him. He didn't do anything to his face. He just spent time with God, and it showed. That's you, right now. You've been spending time in the secret place, and your face is telling on you. But let me go deeper, because this is where it gets powerful. Every stranger who feels safe around you, every person who opens up out of nowhere, every soul who gravitates toward your presence without knowing why, they're not just drawn to you. They're being drawn to the one whose image is forming on your countenance. You're becoming a walking sanctuary. Your face is a soft landing place for tired souls. And in a world that's harsh, loud, and exhausting, people are desperate for somewhere that feels like rest. That's what they're sensing when they look at you. Not perfection. Presence. God's presence. Now, here's where this hits home. How many years did you spend thinking your face was the evidence you were fading? How many mirrors did you avoid because you thought your age was proof you were done, finished, irrelevant? You looked at those lines and thought, "I'm disappearing." But heaven says something completely different. Heaven says your face is the evidence you're finally shining. Those lines, they're not decay. They're the map of where God has walked you through. That softness in your eyes, that's not weakness. That's wisdom. That peace on your face that strangers keep noticing, that's not good genes. That's God's signature on your healing. You thought you were becoming invisible, but you're becoming undeniable. And let me tell you what the enemy hates most about this. He spent years trying to make you feel worthless, forgotten, past your prime. He wanted your face to show defeat. He wanted people to look at you and see nothing but age and irrelevance. But God flipped the script. Now when people look at you, they see hope. They see rest. They see something they can't name but desperately need. That's not in your head, beloved. That's in His hands. So if a stranger has ever opened up to you out of nowhere, if someone you barely know has ever looked at you and said, "I don't know why I'm telling you this," right? That happens to me in the comments below. Because that's not coincidence. That's confirmation. You're carrying something that draws the broken, the weary, the ones who need to know God still sees them. Your face is doing kingdom work while you're just living your life. And that, dear one, is exactly what God intended. But there's something else happening that you need to know about. Something that sounds strange, but I need you to stay with me. In the next part, I'm going to talk about what God is doing to your face while you sleep. Because the transformation doesn't stop when you close your eyes. If anything, that's when the deepest work begins. You know what nobody tells you about getting older? It's not the body that keeps you up at night. It's the mind, that relentless replay. The conversations you should have had differently, the decisions you can't undo, the people you've lost who used to fill the other side of the bed. It's 2:47 a.m. and you're staring at the ceiling again. Your spouse is asleep or gone. The house is quiet, too quiet. And your mind is throwing a parade of every regret, every worry, every what if you've ever carried. You think you're the only one awake, but you're not. Heaven is on night shift over your life. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Those hours you spend tossing and turning, thinking you're just wasting time, fighting insomnia, battling anxiety. What if I told you that many times God scheduled those wakeful hours on purpose? Not to torment you, to transform you. David knew this. Psalm 3-5 says, "I lie down and sleep. I wake again, because the Lord sustains me." But here's what most people miss. David wrote that while running for his life. His own son was trying to kill him. He had every reason to stay awake in terror, but he called sleep a gift. Why? Because he understood something about nighttime that most of us have forgotten. Night is when God does His deepest work on your face. Think about it. During the day, you're performing, you're managing, you're holding it together for your grandchildren, for the grocery store clerk, for the neighbor who asks how you're doing. Your face is working overtime, carrying the weight of being fine when you're falling apart inside. But at night, your defenses come down, your muscles relax, your guard drops. And that's when heaven moves in. Job 35:10 speaks of God who gives songs in the night, not just comfort, songs. Divine melodies playing over your sleeping body while your conscious mind rests. The Holy Spirit hovering over your face like a mother's hand, smoothing out the worry lines on her child's forehead. You think you're just lying there. But beloved, angels are working. Literally working. Smoothing the tension from your brow. Releasing the clench in your jaw. Breathing peace into the corners of your eyes that have held tears for too long. This is not poetry. This is spiritual reality. Your face is being reset while you sleep. But here's where it gets deeper, and I need you to stay with me, because this might shake you. When you wake up at 3 a.m. and can't fall back asleep, when anxiety grips your chest and makes your heart race, when you feel that familiar panic rising that's not always the enemy attacking you, sometimes that's God waking you up because He wants to talk. Because He has something to download into your spirit that can only happen in the silence. Psalm 4-8 says, "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." You alone, not your bank account, not your health insurance, not your children checking in on you. You alone, Lord. That word safety in Hebrew carries the meaning of being settled, secure, dwelling in confidence. But it doesn't come from your circumstances improving. It comes from your face learning to rest in God's presence, even when everything around you is chaos. So tonight, yes, tonight before you lay your head down, I want you to try something that might feel strange at first. Place your hand gently on your own face, not to judge it, not to critique the wrinkles or the age spots or the sagging skin. Just rest your hand there like you're blessing a child. And whisper this prayer: Lord, watch over my face tonight. Rest my mind. Reset my expression. Refill my joy. That's it. 10 seconds. But those 10 seconds become a covenant between you and heaven. You're giving God permission to work on you while you're unconscious. You're surrendering control of even your sleep, your dreams, your nighttime hours to His hands. And here's what I prophesy over you right now. You will not wake up tomorrow morning carrying yesterday's fear on your face. You will not rise with the same heaviness you went to bed with, because heaven is doing overnight delivery of peace to your countenance. Some of you are going to test this tonight and wake up shocked. You're going to look in the mirror tomorrow and think, what happened? What happened is God worked the night shift. What happened is angels stood guard over your rest. What happened is the Holy Spirit smoothed out what the world tried to carve into your face with worry. But I need to tell you something else, something urgent. This overnight transformation, this divine facial reconstruction, it's not random. It's not just God making you look better. It's God preparing your face for what's coming next in your assignment. And what's coming is going to require a countenance that doesn't carry yesterday's defeat. Because the biggest lie you've believed is that your glory days are behind you, that your face should only reflect the past, not the future. But in the next few minutes, I'm going to shatter that lie completely and show you why your face is actually preparing for the greatest chapter of your entire life. You know what the enemy has been whispering to you every time you look in the mirror? He's been saying, your best days are behind you. Your beauty is fading. Your time is running out. But let me tell you something that's going to wreck that lie forever. The world worships young faces. Heaven honors seasoned ones. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Every wrinkle on your face, every line etched into your skin, every gray hair on your head, those aren't signs of decay. Those are battle scars from a war you survived. Those are chapter markers in a story hell tried to end but couldn't. Those are God's signature written across your countenance in a language only heaven can read. You think you're aging? No, you're being unveiled. Here's what society won't tell you, because they're selling you creams and procedures and promises to turn back time. They won't tell you that your older face carries a glory that younger faces simply cannot carry. They can't carry it because they haven't earned it. They haven't walked through the fire. They haven't buried their dreams and watched God resurrect them. They haven't lost everything and discovered that God was still enough. Your face tells a story their face can't tell yet. And that story makes demons nervous. Think about this. You've got more wrinkles now, but you also have more wisdom. Your steps are slower, but they're surer. You don't move as fast, but you move with authority. You don't speak as often, but when you do, people listen. That's not decline, beloved. That's distillation. Proverbs 16:31 declares it plainly. Gray hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained in the way of righteousness. Did you catch that? A crown, not a curse, not a shame. A crown. Your gray hair isn't evidence that you're expiring. It's evidence that you've been crowned. But here's where it gets deeper. Psalm 92:14 says, they will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. Still, that word right there destroys everything the world told you about your worth after 65. You're not done producing. You're not finished bearing fruit. You're not washed up, forgotten, or irrelevant. You're fresh. You're green. You're alive in ways that have nothing to do with the number on your birth certificate. The world says anti-aging. Heaven says pro-glory. See, the cosmetic industry built $1 billion empire on one lie, that aging is the enemy. They want you to fight your face, hide your years, erase the evidence of your journey. But God looks at your face and sees his masterpiece completing itself. Every year you've lived added another brushstroke. Every storm you survived deepened the color. Every tear you cried softened the texture. You're not a before picture waiting for an after. You're a finished work being revealed in real time. Let me say it plain so there's no confusion. Your older face is not a downgrade, it's an upgrade. It's what happens when a lifetime of storms fails to erase God's image in you. It's what happens when hell throws everything it has at you and you're still standing with your faith intact. It's what happens when the fire that was supposed to consume you only refined you instead. That glow people keep noticing, that's not makeup. That's not lighting. That's the residue of answered prayers. That's the afterglow of battles won in secret. That's what a face looks like when it's been in the presence of God long enough that the presence doesn't wash off anymore. You remember that old photo album we talked about earlier? Those pictures from 30, 40, 50 years ago? Look at that younger face and yes, it's beautiful. But look closer. That face hadn't met grief yet. That face hadn't learned how to forgive the unforgivable. That face hadn't discovered that joy could coexist with sorrow. That face was innocent, but your face now, your face is informed. Your face carries knowledge. Your face wears the kind of smile that says, I've been to hell and back, and I'm still choosing love. That smile is rebellion against every force that tried to make you bitter. You're not decaying, dear one. You're distilling. Like fine wine, like aged whiskey, like slow-cooked glory, you're becoming richer, deeper, more potent with time. The world rushes everything, but God takes his time with his masterpieces. And you? You're his slow-cooked glory. Let me tell you why God saved this specific radiance for your older years. Because young faces can carry enthusiasm, but only aged faces can carry authority. Young faces can carry dreams, but only seasoned faces can carry testimony. Young faces can carry hope, but only weathered faces can carry proof. Your face is proof that God keeps his promises. Your face is proof that what doesn't kill you makes you holier. Your face is proof that the same God who started a good work in you is faithful to complete it. So here's what I need from you right now. If you're over 60 and you're finally understanding that these aren't your sunset years but your glory years, I want you to type your age in the comments and add these 2 words, glory years. Don't think about it, just do it. Let heaven see your declaration. Let other people in this community see they're not alone, because what's coming next is going to show you exactly what happens when a face that's been touched by God walks into a room full of people who've forgotten what glory looks like. Chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred moment together, I need you to hold on to 3 truths that will anchor your soul in the days ahead. First, your face is changing because your spirit is changing. This isn't vanity. This isn't wishful thinking. This is what happens when God lifts the weight of decades off your countenance and replaces it with the radiance of his presence. Every line on your face tells a story. Every wrinkle is a chapter, and the glow people keep noticing. That's heaven's signature on your healing. Second, these are not your sunset years. These are your glory years. The world lied when it told you that your best days are behind you. God saved a special radiance for this exact season of your life, a radiance that only comes from walking through fire and refusing to let it turn you to ash. Your older face carries an authority that younger faces cannot carry because it's been marked by survival, refined by suffering, and crowned by faithfulness. Third, you are not alone in this transformation. Right now, across this nation, God is touching the faces of his chosen ones. Grandmothers are waking up looking different. Grandfathers are catching their reflection and pausing. Seniors who thought they were invisible are suddenly being seen. And it's not coincidence, it's convergence. It's God activating his remnant for what's ahead. But more than that, beloved, you have us. This community. This family of believers who understand what it means to feel forgotten and then suddenly remembered by heaven. We see you. We pray for you. And when the world tries to tell you that you're past your prime, We'll be here reminding you that God doesn't have expiration dates on his assignments. So let me ask you this. Now that you know your face is changing because God is restoring your countenance, what will you do with this revelation? Will you keep hiding behind shame about your age? Or will you finally step into the glory that's been waiting for you to claim it? Before you go, I want you to do 3 things. First, drop a comment below. Tell us what God spoke to your heart through this message. Share your age and declare glory years. Ask us for prayer if you need it. This isn't just a comment section, it's a sanctuary, and we're here for you. Second, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. There's a friend, a family member, someone in your church who's been feeling invisible, who's been believing the lie that their time has passed. Send them this message. Let them know they're not alone. Third, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Every week, we're releasing messages specifically for God's chosen ones, messages that the world won't speak, but heaven is desperate for you to hear. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for being brave enough to believe that what you're seeing in the mirror isn't imagination, it's transformation. Now, before I release you, let me place my hand on your shoulder through these words and pray over your life. A prayer for your changing face. Heavenly Father, I lift up every precious soul who has watched this message tonight. Lord, you see them, not just their face but their heart. You know the battles they've fought in secret. You know the tears they've cried when no one was watching. You know the weight they've carried for decades. Father, I pray that you would continue the work you've started in their countenance. Let their face reflect the peace you're building inside them. Let their eyes carry the light of your presence. Let their smile become a weapon against every lie that says they're finished. God, bless them with divine health. Strengthen their bodies, renew their minds, restore their joy. Open doors that no man can shut. Bring divine connections into their lives. Surround them with people who see their value, not their age. And Lord, let them wake up tomorrow morning, look in the mirror and see what you see, a beloved child, a faithful warrior, a carrier of glory who is just getting started. In Jesus' mighty name, Amen. You are loved. You are seen. You are not alone. Go in peace, chosen one. Your face is changing because your story isn't over.